Hey everyone, it's Dr. A, and in this video, we're going to discuss and provide an overview of the heart's electrical conduction system, which essentially will help us to understand that the path of blood flowing through the heart doesn't just happen on its own. I like to think of electrical conduction as the engine behind that process. So let's first dig into some foundational content. The heart's electrical conduction system is intrinsic. In other words, the heart has the ability to generate and conduct its own electrical impulses without direct input from the nervous system, and we call this autorhythmicity. Now, although the heart has this ability, or again, autorhythmicity, which gives it some independence from the nervous system, the autonomic portion of the nervous system can influence cardiac activity. For example, the sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight or flight system, has the ability to speed up the heart's electrical conduction, helping us to get away from a particular stimulus or helping us to deal with that stimulus head on. And similarly, the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and repair system, has the ability to relax the heart's electrical conduction system. Now, on your screen is the heart's electrical conduction system, and just by looking at it, it looks like a complex of wires or cords, and in a way, it is. But in actuality, the best way for us to describe it is as a specialized network of cardiac muscle cells, and the specialized network of cardiac cells has some specific components that we'll identify together in just a moment. So let's look at the structure again, but this time within the heart. First, we have the sinoatrial node, which is also known as the pacemaker of the heart. Its job is to generate the electrical impulses that cause the heart to beat. And next, we have the internodal tracts, which has an anterior, middle, and posterior portion. And this represents part of the pathway in which the electrical signal travels from the sinoatrial node to what we'll describe in a moment as the atrioventricular node. So here's the atrioventricular node. We can refer to this as the gateway of the heart. Its job is to intentionally delay the electrical signal's travel before it then continues. And we have another area worth noting as well, which is called the bundle of His. Its job is to allow electrical impulses from the atrioventricular node, or AV node, to travel to the remaining components of the conduction pathways, which includes the right and left bundle branches. So now that we have the primary components identified, let's list the steps in which the electrical conduction system takes place. First, we start with the action potential being generated at the sinoatrial node, which we again call the pacemaker of the heart. From here, the action potential travels across the atria, causing the atria to contract. And from here, the action potential travels to the atrioventricular node. And as mentioned earlier, the AV node's job is to intentionally hold the electrical signal here. And this happens allowing the atria to finish contracting, and this lasts for a few seconds. Next, the electrical signal travels through the interventricular septum and to the conduction pathways, causing the ventricles to contract. And it's at this time that the atria are relaxed and begin to fill with blood. So here's a brief semi-animation of how this process takes place. So now that we've discussed the sequence of events that lead to electrical conduction of the heart, let's see what this looks like in graph form. And when we refer to this process graphically, we refer to it as an electrocardiogram. Now, as we review this process, I'd like to put a couple of terms before you. When we use the term depolarization, we're referring to a contraction taking place. And oftentimes we'll hear or use the word systole to describe this too. And we'll also utilize the term repolarization, which is analogous to relaxation. And when we use this term, it's common for us to also hear or use the word diastole to describe this as well. Now, on our graph, we have a few areas already labeled for us, and we'll discuss them one by one. Let's start with what we call the P wave. This is the first elevation you'll notice on the graph. This represents atrial depolarization. In other words, this marks the moment in which the atria contract. We also have what's called the QRS complex, noted by the Q, R, and S peaks on this graph. This represents two things. The first represents ventricular depolarization, which is contraction of the ventricles. And it also represents atrial repolarization. Now, let's pause here for a moment and make note of the fact that the QRS complex by itself best represents the ventricles contracting. And if we had the ability to look behind this graph, we'd see a slight elevation that would also represent atrial repolarization. But because we can't fully see it, we use the QRS complex to represent both ventricular depolarization and atrial repolarization. Next, we have the T wave, and this T wave represents ventricular repolarization, the relaxation of the ventricles. So those are the primary components of the electrocardiogram, but we also have some areas referred to as segments and intervals. And these terms help us to identify the passage of time between the heart's electrical conduction. For example, we have the PR segment. This represents the intentional delay we noted earlier at the AV node, allowing for the atria to finish contracting. Next, we have the ST segment, and the ST segment represents the amount of time that it takes between the ventricles contracting and the ventricles relaxing. We also have something called the PR interval, and this represents the amount of time it takes for the electrical signal involved in the heart's conduction to travel from the atria to the ventricles. And last but not least, we also have the QT interval, which represents the amount of time it takes for the ventricles to contract and relax during a single heartbeat.